lazım.
Now the timer is working, so all of them are running basically. After a while they all shut down, which is a faulty code, but it still
Timer
works.
çalıştı. Şimdi butonlar var.
After that I'm pressing the
Butonlar
buttons to turn
birinci
on the
buton çalıştıracak.
motors.
Şöyle
And the
gösterebilirsem.
button that I just pressed is supposed to turn the first motor only, which is what I'm trying to do here is to prove that they are spinning. Like only the first one is
İkinci
spinning.
butonda
And the second
ikinci
button
motoru
just tells that
çalıştıracak
the
sadece.
second motor.
Şöyle
So let's try to understand the circuit right now. First of all, let's start from our 555 timers. This component right here, which is what we basically use to get our timings right, we have a few modes of this, which is one of them is called astable and the other one is called monostable. And there's one more mode that's called bistable, but we do not really want to use that in our project. So what the 555 timer does in a stable mode, which is on top, like as you can see, it's a timer right here. What it does is every 2 minutes with the calculations, or well, like if you change the resistor amounts and the capacitor amount, it's gonna work like 10 seconds off and 20 seconds long, for example. So when you provide it with the amount of these resistors, like 147,000 ohms of resistors and 1.73 mega ohm resistor, it's gonna basically work for 120 seconds and then stop for 10 seconds. But we basically want the opposite of that, so we're gonna use a diode here to bypass the discharge of this capacitor, which is gonna make it work 10 seconds and delay 120 seconds, which is 2 minutes basically. It is connected to our 7.4 battery, which is also connected to the other 555 cameras, as you can see from the wiring. And all of the grounds are connected together. Just the motors are supposed to be working with 3.7 volts only. So the other mode of the 555 timer is astable. I'm sorry, I mean monostable. The push button here is supposed to trigger our pulse, which is what we want is like 10 seconds. There's a neat way to calculate this, which is basically found anywhere else on the internet. When you press this button, it triggers. It basically stops sending the trigger a voltage. It stops the current and it directly sends it to the ground. When trigger becomes grounded, it triggers the discharge. It triggers the output, and based on your calculation, you're gonna get something like the amount of seconds of output from this. And the same system is also here. So one of the buttons are for pre-meal, and the other button is for post-meal button. So what we want to do, this is the circuit that we're going to use, but in the real life you might have something made close to looking like a dispenser. Basically what we want to do is turn the motors so that they turn our springs and they drop our medicine. So the circuit should just look like this. When we power this, when we use the 555 timer to output 10 seconds of this, you could want something else out of this. I just wanted 1 in 6 motors like that. It's gonna drop the medicine first place and 6th place. And as you can see, I kind of marked them, and it says the numbers here. So right after that, this is our sorting system right here. Let's look at this. This is the timer's output. It comes by here, and then I connected it to the first transistor that is supposed to be sending it to our ground, which in turn will enable our motor, enabling it to work. So if you provide a 10-second long pulse here, it's gonna turn the motor for 10 seconds. So I wanted to turn the motor for 10 seconds since that was the time required for me to drop the medicine, but this could be something else for you. You also have to calculate that from this and this. So yeah, that was the idea, and this is the sorting system basically. I connected the output of the timer to 1 and 6, and then the first button, the premium button, to 1, 4, and 5. As you can see, this goes to 1, and then it goes to 4, and then it also goes to 5. We can also say the same case for this. And this, the transistors are just like when you power up the base, which is this side, it lets out current through the collector to the emitter, so it's gonna start working for 10 seconds. We don't really want the more current from our 7.4 volt, so we put the motors behind the collector. So that's it for the circuit.